Today I'm going to show you how to make this super indulgent, rich chocolate Lindor cake for Valentine's Day. It is 3 layers of melt in your mouth chocolate fudge cake, sandwiched between and topped with luxurious, silky smooth chocolate ganache. It's not really that hard to do, I promise you. All of the quantities are in the description. Follow this step by step and you will end up with this perfect Valentine's chocolate cake treat for your loved one. So keep watching if you want to know how to make it. So first thing we're going to do is focus on our chocolate elements. So we've got some melted chocolate going into this, as well as some cocoa powder to make it super chocolatey. First of all, we are going to melt our Lindor chocolate balls. You can use any flavour of Lindor chocolate balls here, just make sure that they're a smooth kind, not a crunchy kind. Melt them on a very low heat and then we're going to pop them on one side to cool. Whilst that's cooling, you want to sort your tins out. So I've got 3 8-inch tins here which I've greased and lined. Now for the cocoa powder, I always advise using proper baking cocoa powder rather than hot chocolate. So if you want to give your cakes an extra Lindt Lindor kit, you could use some Lindt hot chocolate, but I've stuck to baking cocoa powder for this. Then you want to pop some boiling water in this, give it a really good mix and put this to one side to cool as well. And then we are going to move on to our cake batter. So I use a stand mixer for this because I find it easier, but you can do this by hand if you want to. We are going to cream together our butter and sugars first. So I've got caster sugar and I've also got light brown sugar. The light brown sugar is going to help give it a more caramelized taste instead of just using all white caster sugar. We're going to whip that on a medium speed for a few minutes until it's all creamed together, and then we're going to add our eggs in and our vanilla. We've also got milk in. Whenever you add in your wet ingredients, you want to do this really slowly, but making sure that you mix it thoroughly. It's kind of a bit of a balance to find. You don't want to over mix it, but you also want to make sure it's all mixed in properly. So every so often, just pause your mixer, give it a good scrape around the sides and the bottom as well. And then we're going to add in all of our chocolate mixtures, which should have cooled down a little bit by this stage. So we're going to add in our melted chocolate first, and then we're going to follow with the cocoa powder and water mixture, which is essentially just a giant hot chocolate. Now I think about it. Who doesn't love a giant hot chocolate? So we're going to pour that in and mix it really slowly. What I like to do to try and prevent it splitting as much is start off with about half of the flour, mix that in first, only a little bit, and then add in all of your wet mixture, so the hot chocolate, giant hot chocolate, and then follow it with the flour again, and this should help it not split as much. As I always say with all of the cakes that I make, don't worry about splitting too much. It will usually rectify itself once you put the flour in, and if it doesn't, it will rectify itself in the oven. So please don't panic about split mixture, but because this is such a wet batter, we do want to try and prevent the splitting happen if we can. You just want to make sure that you really mixing this together properly to make sure that you haven't got any flour pockets in your cake. I usually finish it off by hand as well, just to make sure that I've mixed it in thoroughly. It is quite a large amount of batter as well, so sometimes stand mixers aren't great at doing large amounts, so I just think it's better to finish it off by hand. I'm going to pour this between our 3 cake tins as equally as you can, and then we are going to pop it in the oven at 160 degrees, and this is going to take around 30 to 40 minutes to cook. We want the cake to be cooked, but we don't want it to be overcooked because that's when it can get dry and not as fudgy. So you want your cocktail stick or knife to come out pretty clean, but it's okay if there's a few little crumbs on there. Then we're going to leave these cakes to cool completely in the tins. They are very delicate cakes because they are so fudgy and because they're a wet mixture. And then we are going to move on to ganache. So ganache typically is chocolate with double cream. I'm adding a little bit of butter into my ganache as well, just to stabilize it a little bit, because with the Lindor balls, they are very melty. I know that's not a word, but they're very thin because they are obviously a chocolate shell filled with creamy chocolate inside. It's not very stable for ganache and for decorating. I have done a mixture of the Lindor balls as well as some dark chocolate, and I would say for your dark chocolate use Lindt/Lindor if you can, to make it extra Lindor punchy. And then we're going to add that butter in to stabilize it as well. So you want to heat your double cream on a really low setting and add your butter in as well, and you just want to heat it until you start getting some steam. You don't want it to bubble, you just want it to be nice nice and warm. And then you're going to pour this on top of your chocolate. And the hardest bit is being patient and letting it sit. You want to let it sit for about 2 to 3 minutes. Don't touch it. Let it do its thing and then give it a good mix, and you will end up with this beautiful silky ganache. If it hasn't quite melted, you can pop it in the microwave or you can put it over a bain-marie. Just do it very, very gently because you don't want to burn your chocolate and you also don't want to split the ganache. So just do it really gently to bring it all together and melt it. Then we're going to need to let this set. You can either do this at room temperature, which is going to take a couple of hours, or you can do it in the fridge like I did. If you do it in the fridge, it's probably going to take less than an hour, but you want to keep stirring it every 15-20 minutes just to make sure that it's not going to split and then it all comes together still. Once you have created this texture where it's more fudgy, then we can start stacking it and decorating it. So I've just got a really simple cake stand here, which I'm going to put my cake on. You can do it on a cake board, cake stand, plate, whatever you want. And then I'm going to pop a little bit of this ganache on the base of it so the cake sticks to it. And then we are going to put the first cake layer on there and put loads of this silky smooth ganache on top and sandwich the cake layers together. As you can see, my second layer looks a little bit worse for wear, and that's because I am too impatient and I got it out of the tin too soon. So I'm going to use this one in the middle, repeat the process, and then for the top layer, I like to always turn it upside down just so you got a bit of a sharper edge. And then we are going to cover it in more ganache. It's really easy to do to cover a cake in ganache or buttercream. I actually find it easier to do with ganache. So I like to put loads on the top and then work it into the cake and start working it down the sides of the cake as well, just using a back and forward motion with your palette knife. I think a palette knife is the easiest way to do this, so it's definitely one of those tools that I would invest in if you are keen on baking. Keep using this back and forward motion to spread it all around the cake, trying to get an even layer if you can. And then I've got a cake scraper, which again, a really great tool to invest in to smooth it out a little bit. I'm not necessarily going for a smooth look with this, but I want a nice flat smooth base just so I can do the next bit, which is kind of this like ribbon effect that I'm going to do. So I have got my palette knife towards the side of my cake and I'm simply just holding it towards the side, pressing it in very lightly, and then moving my cake stand to create this almost ribbon type effect going up the cake. For the top of it, I'm leaving it as it is. I want it to be quite rustic, and then I'm going to top it with Lindor balls. Again, whichever flavours you want. I use dark chocolate, milk chocolate, I think I use caramel, hazelnut, and then I figure out I've got white chocolate, which I then start replacing them all with, but I think the white chocolate really makes it stand out. So I just put all of those around the edge of the top of the cake, and I think that looks really nice as it is. I don't think it needs anything else. You could potentially do a drip if you wanted. You could potentially do more decoration around the base of the cake or the top. I think the simplicity speaks for itself, and I don't think it needs any more than that. But if you want to go for it, then go for it. Cannot wait to slice into this. Oh, it looks so tasty. Okay, here goes. The trouble is trying to get it out. So delicious. Oh my gosh. I'm not the best at plating it, but it looks absolutely delicious to eat. It is so fudgy. Oh, okay, let's try it. Let's try it. Shut up and try it, Leisha. Oh my gosh. It just like melts in your mouth. Fudgy chocolate cake that just melts in your mouth, covered in a silky smooth chocolate ganache, which all tastes of Lindt. Or Lindor. Is it Lindt or Lindor? Which is the brand and which is the balls? I don't know. I'm gonna eat this. Also, top tip, pop this in the microwave for literally like 20 seconds and it will be even more indulgent than it already is. Trust me. And then top it with ice cream and it will just melt all over it. Oh, be perfect for a Valentine's dessert. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Bye.